This is the ST-1, a Tier 9 Soviet TAC tree heavy, a vehicle that has always been quite solid in the armor and gun department, but never in mobility. If we actually take a look at the gun of this vehicle, it's pretty dang incredible. It has not only 374mm of heat pen, but even decent accuracy at .344 and okay DPM at 2200. The only real part about the ST-1 that is a bit lackluster is the 5-second aiming time. It's going to take you a while to actually start aiming in and shooting at your opponents, but the vehicle has 8 degrees of gun depression. That's very rare for a Soviet heavy, especially one with so much frontal armor. In today's video, we are going to be comparing the ST-1 to the IS-4, a Tier 10 Soviet tech tree heavy that is literally after this vehicle on the grind. Why? Well, if we make our way over to Armor Inspector, you'll see exactly why. This here is the ST-1. Its upper plate is about 280mm thick on flat ground, and this is the IS-4, both running enhanced armor, and this is what the IS-4's upper plate is on flat. Yeah, it's a little weird, I'm not gonna lie, when your Tier 9 has more armor frontally than the Tier 10, even though they're on the same line. Yeah, little odd, not gonna lie. Now, to be fair, the ST-1 does have a worse turret. The hatch on the ST is only about 240 thick, and yeah, it's pretty easy to hit. Like, even if the vehicle's fully hull down, that hatch is always going to be a weak spot. If you compare that to the IS-4 turret, even loading heat, the IS-4 turret is almost impervious, so that is one big advantage to the IS-4 that a lot of vehicles really can't compete with, is that turret armor. But in terms of the hull, I mean, look at that. You can pen this vehicle even with heat shells compared to the, yeah, I mean, you literally cannot pen the ST-1 hull down, and it still has an additional 2 more degrees of gun depression. So, in terms of armor, the ST-1 is just kind of flat better than the IS-4. And the funny thing as well is, you notice how I said the ST-1 is 374mm of heat pen? Well, the IS-4's pen actually got nerfed in the latest update for some reason, so now it sits at 363. It's not the end of the world, it still has a lot of pen, but again, it's just kind of funny that the Tier 9 now has more pen than the Tier 10, even though, again, they're on the same line. It really just doesn't make any sense to me. So, let's get into some gameplay here. See what the ST-1's able to do, and then we'll pull out some gameplay in the IS-4. Here we are in a pretty solid matchup here. We are up against Tier 8, and we also have 2 Tier 9s, so hopefully I can turn this into a pretty solid game. We're also on a very good map, Mines, for a vehicle like the ST-1. If you can get hull down with that 8 degrees up on top of the hill, it'll be really, really nice. But one thing I did mention about this vehicle, its mobility is very, very poor. Look at the speed, 29, 30, yeah, it's not the fastest vehicle. I mean, it has a decent top speed. The problem is to actually get up to that top speed is, like, unheard of. So most of the time, you're just going to be chilling at, like, 25 to 30 on, like, a gradient like this. You can see here we're going 20, 25 right now, actually. Alright, well, we got the enemy WZ in front. There you go. Easy slap right into the front of his vehicle. Thank you. We're going to plop on our adrenaline. As I did say, this tank does feature, like, decent DPM for what it is, so you can get some big slaps into your opponents. There you go. Another shell into the enemy WZ. You may have reactive on, but, I mean, reactive's not going to save you when you're a one-shot for, like, both of us now, so I'm just going to aim it on your vehicle. Unfortunately, shell does bounce, but my M4190 pens that guy. He's a one-shot at this point, so I'm not really too scared of him. I wonder if that STG's can just full send him here. We're going to aim it on the side of the T-77. Even though the T-54 did have less health at the time, I just think that the T-77 is a bigger threat, so now that he's dead, we can very easily just poke this, finish off the T-54, and back up. Well, we're doing pretty solid so far. We can see just how easy it is to drive the ST-1 in a hull-down engagement like this, even if we don't get too much damage out. Just a great example of the capabilities this vehicle does have. Got the side of the T-34. There you go. Nice 430 damage slap-a-rooney into his vehicle. 6 more seconds left, and we'll have another shell ready. You gonna aim at me? Oh, 3, 2, 1. There you go. Another nice bonk into the T-34. Thank you. We're up to 2,300 damage now. And obviously I'm not going to waste my time on that, as he's dead. All that's left is a Skoda, who's been camping in the spawn, and an AMX 1390, who's also a little bit of a buffoonery here. So we're just going to aim it on the rear of the AMX. There you go. Easy 420 damage shot into his vehicle. Type 59 is going to pen him again, so I'm not going to worry all too much about that. We're just going to pull forwards here, aiming on the Skoda. And there you go, nice slap into his vehicle for 400. Over 3,000 damage at this point, which is obviously pretty dang solid. Is the Skoda gonna ram me? That's all I want right now. Unfortunately, what? Okay. Welcome to World of Tanks Blitz, where shells don't make sense. We're gonna face hug the guy so he literally just can't move. And there you go, we'll finish him off. We do have our IS-3 off to the side that bonked him as well. Not a bad game. 3,400 damage, and the easiest victory of my life. One advantage, obviously, of being in a tier 9 is that you can indeed fight tier 8s. We block 1,600, got a second class. The ST-1 is always going to be a great vehicle. As long as Wargaming doesn't touch it or ruin its armor, it will always be solid. It doesn't have the most mobility, but it just has armor and a dang good gun. And when you can combine these together, it just makes for a super enjoyable experience. So yeah, I would give the ST-1 a solid like 8 out of 10. Obviously, if it did add more mobility, it'd be higher up, but it's definitely very slow in a lot of engagements. But as I said, the armor does make up for that. So now let's make our way over to the tier 10 Soviet tech tree heavy, the IS-4. Now I want to point out now, while I do think that this vehicle did receive a nerf in update 10.3, I do also think it got a buff. The main armor that the IS-4 has always been known for is the turret, not necessarily the hull armor. And the side armor did get nerfed, but it's still good enough that you'll very easily be able to side scrape as long as you don't over-angle it. So I don't really think the vehicle got a huge nerf. The major nerf to me was the hit points. I don't know why Wargaming took away 250 of its HP. They always go back and forth. It's like a ping pong. Oh look, we buffed its HP. Oh, now we gotta nerf it. Oh look, we buffed its HP. I think this is now the 4th time it's gotten an HP change in the last like 3 years, which is just really weird. So we're actually going to take a look at a replay that I got on yesterday's stream in the IS-4, as I feel like this is a perfect game to summarize the capabilities and overall output this vehicle has. Now in 10.3, the IS-4 got more mobility, and it got a slightly bit more of DPM, slightly more accuracy, and in return it lost 250 hit points and about 20-30-ish mils on the upper plate. Now, the armor, as I said, isn't the end of the world, as long as you don't overexpose yourself. So what do we have up against us here? We have a Mouse, a T-57 Heavy, and an M103 and a Kron. Okay, so they got 4 heavy tanks. They also have 2 mediums, being a T-54 and a Leopard 1, and then a Jagdpanzer E-100 as their only tank destroyer. It makes me so happy when I don't have to constantly fight 2-3 tank destroyers on the enemy team. It actually creates for an experience where I can like do my job as a heavy, fight the enemies, and not feel like I'm constantly under pressure of being slapped by a camping tank destroyer. So yeah, that's one thing I will say. Now the mobility we can see is definitely nicer here. We're able to get easily into the front line, and comparing this to the ST-1, yeah, we are definitely a lot more mobile. We got the Leopard 1 all the way off to the side, and we have a T-54 in front of us. Okay, well, we're going to go fully wide here. Not able to get a shell into the T-54, but that's fine. A bonk, thank you. Nice 420 damage shot into the enemy Leopard. Alright, well, the T-54 is aiming at us, so we got to turn our turret towards him, and then we're going to aim it on the Leopard and get another nice slap into his vehicle. We got the Leopard who pens us. Obviously, the T-54 still off to our side. Not really that big of a threat, so we're just going to get a easy slap into his vehicle for 400, and just like that, we've been able to rip out 1,200 damage. Okay, not too bad. Let's reload again. 2 more seconds, we'll have another bonking ready. Ka-chink! Thank you very much for your hit points, good sir. As we can see, the IS-4 so far has felt pretty good. The only shot we've been penned by is in the lower plate. We haven't really gotten shot elsewhere, so we're just going to finish off the enemy T-54. Just like that, our team has managed to pick up 3 kills, and we've done a pretty solid job. This is why pushing the medium side is always a pretty solid example of how well you can do. Somehow, our Yo has managed to bleed 2,200 health, though. Pretty impressive. I also know that, yep, the Yag is probably sitting in that back bush over there. Thankfully, my Yo did not get penned by the Yag. He should be thanking his lucky stars, because that player was spotted there earlier. Alright, well, we know that T-57 Heavy's in the open. Gonna get a nice slap into the side of his vehicle. And at this point, I still have 2,200 health left. And I got my 26A2s in a bit of a tricky situation, and I got my 704 over here. The only vehicle I'm going to have to really be worried about is that Kron, because if I push the T-57 heavy, then I'm not too worried, because I'm hoping the 268 will help me. So I'm just going to send it. The Kron pens me with 2 shots, but he's on reload for the 3rd, so we're just going to keep going here. We're going to get a nice shell to the side of the T-57 heavy, and I know he's on clip reload because we just watched him dump my object 268. So we're going to back up so that my 268 can shoot him, but lovely teammate shoots at the Kron, even though he could have killed the 57 heavy. Thankfully, the 57 plays kind of like a doofus, but that really irritated me when I was playing this on live stream. Like, bro, I help you. You got one job. It's helped me clear the 57 that I just took 2 shots from, and you're just going to sit there and shoot at a hull down Kron that you can't pen. Woo! Either way, at this point, we are up to 3,100 damage, and the enemy team still has 3 fairly healthy tanks left. And we have a dead driver. Now it's like driving an ST-1. Yeah, we got another 25 seconds as well before we can get our driver back. Very, very unfortunate for us. Look at that free damage we would be able to deal on that Kron if we did have our driver. Oh, that's so disappointing. Literally, the dude gets away for free and spots us in the process. Like, that is so agitating. Thankfully, we are still going to be able to get there, at least in a reasonable time. We go downhill here, so we pick up some speed, and we are able to repair our vehicle. So, at this point, we got a full health mouse, we got a full health Yag. We're going to aim it on the side of the mouse, get a big ol' bonkaroonie there, thank you. Alright, well, the mouse is going to, well, what is the mouse going to do? It kind of looks like he's going to back up, but no, that is not the case. Now, I know that the Kron just shot because I heard him shoot, so I'm going to pull around the corner here, and bonk, thank you, 400 damage into your vehicle. We're up to almost 4,000 damage at this point, but, oh boy, the mouse goes right through our frontal plate. Well, the good news is we still have plenty of pen to cut through the mouse, and because we have decent DPM, we can easily cut a shell into him. We're going to reload again here. We got our adrenaline on, and we finish off the Kron. You can definitely see, though, the armor on the flat ground seems pretty useless. I don't know if we've been penned in the upper plate at all. It's hard to tell. Let's see. Have I been penned in the upper plate? Let's pause it, take a look at the front of my vehicle, and yes, we have. Actually, it looks like 2 of the shells fired at our vehicle. Actually, 3 of the shells fired at our vehicle penned the upper plate, one of which was shot at our lower plate and just kind of looks like it went into the upper plate. Great example there of the IS-4 armor, but to be fair, those were all APCR shells, so they might be premium shells from the mouse, but to be fair, the Kron does also have APCR standard, but again, the Kron was also aiming down on us, so I don't know if we would have actually gotten bounces in the previous update. Either way, this mouse makes a massive mistake. He puts himself in a position where he doesn't have the gun depression to shoot me when rolling around the corner. And because of that, we have, obviously, crazy good turret armor in the IS-4. So all I need to do now is chill in a position like this, get a nice pendant to the side of the mouse, and yeah, this player made a pretty big mistake, I'm not gonna lie. What are you gonna do, bro? Nothing. You're gonna do literally nothing. Bye-bye! Ha 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 ha! Yes! It does feel nice when you can get into a side scrape on the literal side of a vehicle. It's pretty fun. So we're up to 6,000 damage. We've blocked 1,200. Not that much block damage, but we still dealt 6,000, which is pretty decent. Now we're going to push over towards the Yag. I could really care less if I die, so we're going to get 1 free shell into his lower plate. Just like that, we've dealt 6,545 damage. As we can see, the IS-4 is not what it used to be. The armor is not nearly as strong. But in terms of the mobility, in terms of the DPM, the vehicle does feel pretty nice. So, I don't think the vehicle's necessarily ruined, but I definitely can't say that it's anything incredible at the same time. There's really no reason why you should grind this vehicle when the Type 71 exists. So, I don't know. It's a little disappointing. I really don't know why Wargaming had to change this tank. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about the IS-4. Is it ruined for you? My guess is the majority of you will not be playing this tank. But, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.